Oh my gosh, y'all. Hey, it's Alicia, and welcome back to the podcast. Y'all, I'm so excited because I have Asher Wright here on the podcast with us. And I'm really excited because we are in conversation as it relates to what liberation looks like in the Black community. And I'm so excited
Mhm.
that you have decided to come on to talk with me about this because I know this particular topic could be something different for each and every Black person because as we all know, we're all different in how we, move through life. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Alicia, my pleasure, my friend. And for the listeners, you're here because you want to be educated. You want to get in that liberation space because for that question for me, it's liberation. What it really means, it's that freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom
Mhm.
of purpose, freedom of relationship, like freedom to do those things and have the resources to really go after those things. That's what that really means to me. So I'm ready to talk about liberation and
Uh,
more.
oh, I love it. I'm like smiling like from ear to ear. I'm like, yes, let's do this. So I wanted to talk about before we even get like really into all the things. For those who might not know who Asher is, this person is amazing. So you are what, a veteran of 15 years from the army?
No, 22 years. 22 years.
22.
Yes, yes.
Yo. So what started your actual career in the armed forces? Like how did you get into that world and then how did you kind of like remove yourself if that makes sense?
Oh yeah, I can give you a quick rundown on the story about Asher and his military career. But for the folks that are listening, I'm a veteran, but I'm also an immigrant too.
Mhm.
So my origin started in Jamaica. I grew up born and raised in Jamaica. I grew up there. I immigrated to the United States back in 1998,
Mm.
and then I joined the military in 1999. So 4 months after I got to the United States, I got my green card, and then I was looking for other opportunities. So I signed up for the military, and then 8 months later, I was in training.
Mhm.
And then I started my journey back in August. My actually date was really while I was in training was in August, and from there I did 22 years, retired of April of 2022. So April is when I really signed paperwork back in 1999, and
Mhm.
April of 2022 is when I really called it a close, and I ended my career from there. And then I venture off in other things because something about the military that I really love is kind of say go for 20 years you get that pension. I'm like, you know what? Let me go for that.
Right.
And I went after that, and after I got it and I got out, I retired, started getting my disability and my pension. I start really on like feeling that thing people talk about residual income, like the
Yes.
income that you get when you're not working. And that thing I got a taste of that. And I was like, you know what? I gotta do my entrepreneurial journey. I gotta find a way to do stuff that really create that kind of income that I can make while I'm not sleeping. And that's when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So, but the military was that catalyst that kind of put me in that space. Took me a bunch of places around the world. I mean, I was deployed 5 times. You
Mm.
know, deployed a couple times to Afghanistan, Kuwait, and went a couple rotation in Iraq, but it was just visitation. That really was my permanent location.
Mhm.
And I've been to other places. So I've been had a really, really healthy career in the military, and I'm grateful for it. I think the United States is the best country on earth. That's why I said to other people, the best, because it's done a lot for me. I grew up in Jamaica, and I grew up in
Right.
poverty back then. So I
Mhm.
really come to America, and I did a lot for myself, and this country put me on a couple more steps up that I needed to be on. So
Right.
that's my short story.
No, I love that. And I love the fact that you seized the opportunity, right?
Hmm.
In terms of like, I love I have this. It's like all falling in place in terms of us talking about liberation because your opportunity to move here to become, um, someone that's worked for the military to then realize, hey, wait a minute, this residual income, this feels good. How can I
Hmm.
now continue on with this type of um, way of making money in other ways where I'm not killing myself? So, for those who are on a journey of trying to figure out how to get um, residual income, how did like I know you said it was by way of you seeing things through your career as someone in the military, but then like
Hmm.
how did that entrepreneurship like how did it get started in a way where you um saw like okay, this is something I want to pursue for the long haul. If that makes sense.
No, I got your question. So here's the thing. So I did 22 years in the military, and I realized that if I can commit to something for 22 years. And I
Mm.
did and my days was long in the military, like them 12 hours, 13, 14, 15 hour days most of the time, right? And I was putting that much work, and I was like, what if I can commit just a half of that time, a decade, to something of my own, right? Something I'm building for myself, right? If I can commit that much time, what would it feel like? What would it look like? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it because I was doing because I read a lot of books. I'm a person I do a lot of reading, so I'll
Mhm.
tell you the story about that later on. But I do a lot of reading, and I was like, man, I'm discovering that everybody that's really really making a big difference in the world are folks that are entrepreneurs. I was like, I gotta figure out this place too because when I was leaving the military, transition out, there was a lot of a really good system for finding employment,
Mhm.
but the system for deploying my skill set wasn't as set up as the employment piece. I was
Right.
like, well, you know what? I gotta find a way to get to tap in this entrepreneur stuff. So I started doing a lot of research, started reaching out to people, and I started life coaching because I love coaching folks already because I was building the military. That's something that we do, kind of build a team, so forth and so on. So I
Right.
started my life coaching stuff, and then I realized that I need things that I can sell, products or
Mhm.
service, so forth and so on. So I was like, so for a whole year, I took like a year sabbatical after my first year. So I took a year off. I didn't do anything but read and listen to a lot of books, and I wrote my first book during that time. And I was like, you know what? I need to figure out how to really master this crap of really like working on something for my own.
Right.
And I keep working through that process. And that took me to meeting a lot of awesome people that are doing this in the entrepreneurial space. I'm like, okay, well, what are you guys doing to make money? And like you've seen a lot of people doing it right now, like the
Yeah.
podcasting, people trying to monetize that, their coaching stuff, trying to find other ways to make money. And I like realize that's the place I need to be in because that's gonna liberate me from really that 9 to 5 stuff, from like working 2 weeks for a paycheck, so forth and so on. That's
Right.
liberate me from that piece of it. So now I can just kind of find a way to build my business and put a lot of work because I'm telling you right now, you already probably know this. Like doing the entrepreneur stuff, you're gonna work weeks, months probably without not making any money.
Right.
But you kind of work, right? Keep working, and then after a while, then the stuff that you put in place, the system you start working on, start paying you, and they
Mhm.
start paying you. You know what I'm saying? Work start getting paid, and you start getting paid while you work. Versus like, oh, I just gotta work for a paycheck every 2 weeks, and I get a paycheck, and I keep working. If I stop working, I don't get paid. So
Right.
when I start getting my pension and I'm my disability stuff, I'm like, oh man, so I'm sitting at home chilling, I'm getting paid. Like,
Right.
what else can I create on the board? What kind of assets can I put on the board to do the same thing for me? And I was like, man, so this entrepreneurial space really jumped off for me based on that.
That is so cool because I think a lot of people want to pursue something like that, but are
Hmm.
afraid to
Yes.
go down that road because it's like the fear of the unknown. Because I'll speak for myself and like growing up here in America as a black person and
Hmm.
seeing my family, like my family, we were working class people for the most part. And um, it was all about going to work and getting a job, right? Like, where's
Hmm.
your job? Why aren't you going to work? So it was always about having that as your security. And for those who have grown up in that same type of, headspace that I did and mentality and mindset, how can you convince particularly black people, right? Because
Hmm.
it's for us, it's like a thing of like pride to have a job. Like
Hmm.
where I grew up, it's prideful. You have your job. That's how you make your money. So all that to say, for someone who wants to venture out to that entrepreneur world, what would be like something that you would suggest that would be a way for them to kind of like see that there's something beyond that 9 to 5 mentality where you can make money and you can thrive and not just
Hmm.
survive? Because a lot of people in,
Hmm.
in, in America are just surviving, right? How can we
Hundred
be better?
percent.
What do you think?
First thing I would say, keep your day job. I would,
Yes.
no, I would tell them keep your day job, but then the hours that you're not on your day job, try to find something else that you want to build
Mm,
because it's gonna take a lot of time to really build
yeah.
it. It's gonna take time, and oftentimes the reason why people don't do entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship, like one thing you have to really master, you gotta face the sales piece and the marketing piece, and
Yes.
that is like the gatekeeper. If you don't know the sell or market, you're not gonna make any money. So you can't get your business out if you don't want to do those things. Unless you really have money to outsource those two things, then you gotta approach those two things. And oftentimes people they're afraid of rejection because you're gonna want to sell your products or share your product with other people, trying to help them. And people gonna tell you no, I don't want that. And I'm telling you right now, it hurts sometimes. Right?
Mhm.
It hits your nerves sometimes, like, oh man, I just got rejected a couple more times. Like, I don't think I want to do this thing.
Right.
But you gotta know that, hey, you're building something, and you gotta realize that that big obstacle in your way is gonna be the marketing and sales piece. Because once you figure out your products and service thing you want to offer to other people, you're gonna want to share it with people, and people are like, yeah, I don't want it. And you gotta
Mm.
be like, okay, you're just not the right person for it. That's okay. I'm gonna keep asking,
Right.
right? And you gotta keep going. So I would say keep a day job so you can kind of like cover your expenses, and then once you build that thing that you love that you want to build for yourself, once that start working, you start seeing the income. You start figuring, oh no, it's no, I'm finding the right people that want my service. Then you
Right.
just kind of focus on those same kind of people. But the
Right.
other thing that really hits me was I call it no disrespect to the military, but it's like I came off the army plantation, right? It
Mm.
felt like a plantation because I was working so many hours. Same thing with other people. You on that corporate plantation or that elevator plantation, go to work every day. It's okay, right? You want it. But you gotta realize that eventually you gotta get out that plantation. And the way to get off
Mm.
is to create something of your own. And sometimes like when you create something of your own, it's a different kind of feeling when you're working on something for you
Mm.
versus building for something for somebody else. When you start building something for you, like you're spending some sleepless night working on it, you're like, this is my thing. I'm like, for example, this is the baby you're carrying for that 9 months period, right? And you
Right.
realize once that baby is born, you gotta take care of it, you gotta find that community, that village to help you grow that baby, nurture that baby until that baby can work on his own and do his stuff, right? All that stuff is kind of same analogy here, right? You gotta work on that thing for a while. It's gonna take some time. But
Right.
once you keep working on it, keeping your day job, but the hours that you're not working at your job, you're investing in the stuff you want to build. And you
Right.
find the right kind of people to surround yourself with that are doing the same thing. Because some days you're gonna feel like you don't want to do it because it's rough. But
Right.
then those people like encourage, like, hey man, let's keep doing this. What I'm doing. Oh, you're doing something different. The energy charge will up back again, and you keep working at it and keep working at it until that business start showing the residual income that you need.
Right. Thank you so much. And I love the fact that you brought up the point of surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Because I
Hmm.
think some people in general are concerned about relationships that they've had for so long. And it's like, do I, am I um cutting out other people in my life in order to succeed? And it's like sometimes you might have to do that in order to get to where you need to go. And it's not like you're just cutting people left and right, but if you have the opportunity to be around people who are actually with the same purpose and same drive as you, it's more beneficial to kind of surround yourself in those spaces because a lot of times people that we're around, even though they mean well, family, friends, whatever, but they don't have that ambition and drive that you do in order to, see those results in the work that you're doing, especially particularly as an entrepreneur.
Hmm. So we talk about this. We talk about freedom of time, purpose, money, relationship. So you got to figure out the folks you want to relate to because, like,
Mhm.
if you're crazy about this idea and you find 10 other people that are crazy the same way, like when you hang around them, you won't think you're crazy. You think you're all think you're sane, right?
Right,
But if you're crazy and you're going around people that, oh man, this guy's crazy, right? You're gonna feel out of place. So I'm saying you gotta find like-minded people. That's the reason why people don't like once you start thinking differently, you might have this gonna get separated from your family a little bit because they don't see the same vision that you see.
yeah,
And they're gonna think, oh, you're crazy, you're wasting your time, so on and so on. You gotta go around people that are thinking just crazy like you. And in
right,
that group of people, nobody think they're crazy. Everybody think they're normal, right? But if you're in the wrong group of people, they're gonna think you're crazy. They're gonna think you're weird. So you gotta
right,
find the right kind of people to associate yourself with. So that's when it comes to the freedom of relationship, like who you relate to at the time, like who you want to associate yourself with, because you gotta find those people because their thinking, their like-mindedness, help you keep going after the thing you want. If not, you're gonna hang on people that are going like, hey, oh, what are you crazy man? What are you doing? That stuff not gonna work. And
right,
you might get disencouraged. I might stop putting effort into the things you want to do. So
right.
relationship and community really matters.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's while I'm segueing, but I'm like looking at so for those who can't see, Asher has in his like with his name, it says wisdom coach. And so as the wisdom coach, like how did you come up with that name? And then what does the wisdom coach provide to those that need that, the wisdom that you offer?
Well, thank you for mentioning that. So let me define what wisdom coach really means. So, like I said, I came from the military background, and the military is a doing organization. Like we
Mhm.
get stuff done, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm a person. I'm what do you call it? I'm habitually or like one of my biggest habits. I'm a person that do. I like to do things,
Hmm.
right? So I like to get into things and do things. So wisdom really means application.
Yeah.
So applying what you know. So in this world that we're in right now, a lot of information is out there. People know a lot of stuff. but they're afraid to do it, to start doing it, to execute it. And
Wow.
so how I come into play is based on wisdom coaching. I just help you apply the thing that you know. Like, this is what you want to do. Now I'm gonna be a guy by your side to help you make that first step, the second and third step, because oftentimes people are afraid of that first step. They don't want to apply what they know. They want to take that risk. It's scary. So if you have somebody that been through a certain situation and like, this is what I want to do with my life, and I'm afraid to start it because I don't like the energy of fear of failure by myself. So sometimes it's not easy to fail by yourself, but you fail with somebody else. Like, hey, hold on, okay, let's change some stuff here. It's a little bit more easy, right? You won't beat up on yourself too much. So that's where I come into play. So I consider myself a wisdom coach because I help people apply the things that they need to apply in their life, like whatever they need to do that they're not doing, whatever fears that they need to overcome, or whatever victory that we need to reinforce in their life. Right? Focus on those things and apply the things that works,
Mm,
because that's what wisdom is. Apply the thing that really works. So that's where I play that process as far as the wisdom piece.
I love that. And you know, it's so funny as you were saying that, I was thinking because I've worked with coaches in the past,
Hmm.
and it's so like amazing when you realize your purpose and the things that you can offer people as a gift, you know, as an offering. And it's so sometimes it's so easy and simple that
Hmm.
it scares you. And like for those that you've worked with, that once they realize, oh, this is what I should be doing, but it's so effortless. This can't be
Hmm.
it because things should be, you know, hard, or I have to like be in the trenches. For people who have that type of mentality, what does that look like as a coach for you? Like trying to, you know, not so much convince them, but you know, to support them through their process and realize just because it comes easy, that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. That's actually a good thing because you can offer it in ways that someone else may not. Like how do you, you know, provide that assistance to those who are in that position?
So, for example, I'm a writer. So, like, one of my big goal is to write 86 books by my 86th birthday.
Wow.
That is my goal. So I'm working on my third book right now,
Mhm.
and the third book is really focused on my own story, like really telling it, sharing it, and like one of my coaches, his name is Joel, and he always tell me, Asher, like, no one cares about your story
Mm.
unless you can make it about them. Man, every time he says that to me, I'm like, like, let me keep focusing. So when I'm writing my story, I'm like, okay, so how can I put people in, like, share my story, but also include people in the story. And the thing that I realized that really works when you want to include other people in your story, you gotta use what I call spam, right?
Mm.
Similes, parables, analogies, metaphors, right? If you can
Right.
tell a story and kind of use those things to symbolize certain things, then the story people can see themselves in the story. So I'm writing like right now. So the folks that I'm really focused on right now is helping it's immigrants and veterans. So I asked myself this one question to really, really figure out the people that I really want to work with. Like, who do you want to be a hero to, Asher? That's the question I asked. So anybody
Mm.
right now that's listening, like, ask that question. The people you want to focus on, like, who do you want to be a hero to?
Wow.
And that question, once you figure that question out, the answer to that question, those are people you focus on. So when I asked myself that same question, who do I want to be a hero to? It came back to immigrants and veterans, right? Those are the two identities that I really, really like. Really connects. I connects to really big time because I spent a lot of time being an immigrant and a veteran, right? So,
Right.
so I understand the pathway that we all travel as immigrants and veterans, some of the struggle went through, and so forth and so on. So now we have traveled a journey, we have experienced certain things, right? Ordinary people that's seen a lot of different things. But now, how do you tell that story where you find value in it? Because a
Mm.
lot of time, immigrants and veterans, because this story, their journey is so emotional, like up and down. Sometimes they don't want to share it. They don't want to tell nobody about it
Mm.
because it's so emotionally like roller coaster ride, right?
Right.
But then your story has a lot of value because it give a lot of perspective. So how do I share that story that you can own it, right? So I have my story. Like my story, with one of the big thing was, how do I own my own story? Like, how do I increase the value with? How do I appreciate my past, right? Versus depreciating it, because I was depreciating my past a lot when I left the military. I was some of my stuff. I didn't want to tell about it because it's just something about it that just really, really didn't feel right. Talk about it at first, but when I
Mm.
start organizing my thinking, organizing my stories, and realize there's a lot of value in it. So why am I depreciating it? I should increase the
Right.
value of it. I should appreciate it. So when I think about my story now, I increase the value of it. I'm like, okay, so what can I tell it in a way that people can resonate with? And that's when I start writing my story. So now I'm working with other people that are immigrants, very like, hey, like, we're gonna find a way to extract your story from your past, write it out, and then find a way to make people value it, right? So, like, no one cares about your story unless you can put them in it. So now, how do you put other people in your story now? Like, how do you have them to walk imaginary? through your story, like
Mm,
picture themselves going through your story, to the obstacles, so forth and so on. And that's the way we kind of put people in the story. So that's when I work on people, like how do you organize a story to find value in it? Because once you find value in the story, you can talk about it. And it's a solution for a lot of people. Because I asked myself, this is another thing that, right? I asked myself, like, who's the most successful people I know? And when I was going to that question, it came back to my parents, and my
mm,
mom and my dad. And it was interesting when I came back because, like, my parents had 9 kids, 9 kids. And I don't know how they did it, but they raised 9 kids.
right.
Like, my dad didn't have a formal education and so forth and so on, but they figured a way to do it. So based on their obstacles, their journey,
Mhm.
like, they overcome a lot of stuff. Like, how did they do it? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious about those information. So when I was looking back at my own story, like the most successful people I know, they're my parents. And same thing with the veterans and immigrants. Like, what have you been through that people, if they was walking in your shoes, could they do it? A lot of
Right,
people couldn't, right? But
right,
how did you do it, and how do you find value in your own story so now you can share it so you can help empower other people that are immigrants and veterans? Like, hey, own your story, own your journey, because you walked this tightrope from the destination to here, and now you're like, wow, I didn't know I made it across that tightrope, but I'm here, right?
right.
So that's some of the stuff that I like to share with folks to own their own story. Over to you.
I first no, over to me. I love back to you, Alicia. But and there we are. No, I love that because I think a lot of people, and you've probably seen this a lot, where
Hmm.
people are just truly not aware that their journey, what they have done in their life, is so powerful
Hmm.
and can change so many lives. But you think it's just me, like I'm just doing my thing, but it's like what you're doing and the road that you're on, whether you believe in God, universe, like there's a reason why you are doing what you're doing, and what you're doing can be, a blessing, a gift, or something that will encourage someone else to keep the ball rolling in terms of creating better outcomes for humanity or whatever that
Hmm.
looks like. So I love the fact that are encouraging people to just not only share their story but implement it in a way where other people can just thrive based off of, okay, if that person can do it, come on, I'm going to give it a try at least. I love that.
Yeah. So Alicia, this is the thing, right? There might be 1,000 person right now looking to make that first step on that same path you've been on.
Mhm.
No, you right now you have that blueprint, that map of that exact path that you walk, and you're afraid to make that first step. But if you're like, hey, I've been on this path before. This is what I did. This is what it looked like. Now they can envision. They can vision it now. They can like, oh, I can see. Oh, at least you make these steps. Maybe I'll make these different adjustments when I do detect the first step. But if you can sit down with those 1,000 people right now, like, hey, I know you're about to take this journey on, and this is what I've been through when I was there. I made a lot of mistakes while I was there. But just in case you want to go on that journey too, this is what you need to see what it looks like, right? These are
Right.
some of the obstacles along the way, and this is what I did to overcome them. It took me a little long, but I
Right.
made it around them. But maybe with this vision, you can actually make a few more different steps, right? But when
Right.
people see that, right, now they're like, you know what, I can do it.
Right.
Because that's what it is. Like all we doing is showing people pathways forward.
Right.
And I made a lot of sacrifice walking it by myself or with some other people that kind of hold my hand there. I'm doing the same thing with other people. Like you going on this journey right now. You doing this or whatever you want to venture off into. If it looks the same as mine, we identify with the same identity, then sure I can tell you what I did and what I didn't do. And maybe you can figure out based on that data, you can kind of know do some data analytics, right? And figure out exactly, hey, do I want to do the same thing? I want to do it differently. And you can
Right.
do it now because now you have a map, right? That you can use to go forward and figure out exactly what path you want to take differently. But
Yeah.
people need that. And if no everybody keep hiding their story, hiding their journey, hiding the data that they went on to get to where they got to, then a lot of people are gonna be trapped in a lot of fear. So with the wisdom coach coming to like, hey, this is what other people have done,
Mm.
right? Another thing I didn't share with you is like back in 2016, I started this challenge to read and list to 100 book a year, 1,000 books in 10 years.
Mhm.
I'm on my 8 years right now. I'm over 700 plus books. So by the end of this year, I should knock on my 800 book goal, right? Being an 800 book club. So I've been chasing other people's story, like finding books to read and listen to, right? That
Uh-huh.
people are sharing their stories, sharing their tools and system, like how they think differently about the situation. And I'm like, hey, I'm collecting these things because I want to see what other people do. Because the
Right.
thing is, right? I'm looking at the problem right now, and one of my favorite quotes by Dan Sullivan. He said, "The problem is not the problem. but you're thinking about the problem that makes the problem, right? So
Mm.
what I realized is that I'm looking at the problem, and the only way it's the problem because the way I'm thinking about it.
Wow.
So if I can find somebody else that think about this problem a little differently to make it easier for them, I want to know exactly what that person thought,
Right.
right? So give me that little recipe of thinking about that problem that made it easy for you, and from there I'm like, let me think the same way and see what this problem look the same way.
Right.
And when I think like those person thought for that problem, oh, it's not that hard. It's actually easy. I was
Right.
just thinking about it differently. So now that's a recipe I'm looking for in other people's story. Like, how do you look at a problem, think about it differently, make it ease for you?
Right.
Because I want that same thinking cycle, thinking process to replicate that same thing. And if I look at the problem the same way you did, and it
Mhm.
was easy for you and easy for me, now I'm like making progress.
Right.
But if I'm focused on the hard way of thinking about it, then life becomes a lot hard. So all we
Right.
gotta do is figure that out. Find people that are thinking about the problem differently and think about the problem the same way they think about it, and now the problem becomes a little bit easier.
It's like mind blown right there. Like seriously, just like all the nuggets, like right there, Asher. Like seriously. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, wow, right? But here's the thing, 800 books in, like you in 8
No,
years,
730 something. So
730.
by the end of this year, I should be about 800 book mark. Yeah.
Okay. So what started this journey? Because I was interested when you were just saying in general about you wanting to write at
Hmm.
least you said about 86 books by your 86th birthday.
Hmm.
This reading and like love for learning in this way, like where did this start? 'Cause I love this because it's like that idea of one reading, books and just trying to expand your world, and also
Hmm.
writing that causes additional expansion in your life as well. This is that whole idea of liberation in so many ways. I don't think
Hmm.
people even understand that reading about other situations and circumstances and people that expands your whole concept and idea of how you navigate through life. So, how did this start in your world, reading and writing at such an amazing, at such
Hmm.
amazing pace, right?
Well, yes, thank you so much. And I'll tell you where it started. And so the reason why I'm doing it because I wanna really sharpen up these three vocabulary that I call my thinking vocabulary, my
Mhm,
speaking vocabulary, and my reading vocabulary. Like
mhm.
those was a big challenge for me. Like just growing up. So I'll tell you the reason why because I grew up with a symptom of ADD and dyslexia.
Okay.
So those were those symptoms really make like really education itself was very challenging for me. So growing up, like I realized at age 35 like the only book I've read from cover to cover was the Bible. That's the only book. So you feel
Mm,
like it took me 35 years to read one book.
wow.
And I really had a difficult time in high school. Like I really, really was because of the symptom of dyslexia. It just really high school was very hard for me because I just couldn't really focus on like the bookwork stuff, right? Because my
Right.
brain doesn't work in a linear fashion, right? I'm a
Right.
person that I see big picture, like I see the web. I gotta connect the dots. So when I see that stuff, I gotta zoom out on certain things. That's how my brain works,
Right.
right? So now I realized that hey, I gotta change this story. Like 'cause I was telling myself this story the whole time. Like, Ashley, you can't read. Like reading was so hard for you. So like, I gotta
Mhm.
change this. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna deliberately do something to make a difference with this story I've been telling myself for the last 35 years that I couldn't read. So I
Right.
started that 100 book challenge, and once I knocked it out, I was like, whoa, I can do it because I was started fighting time because I was in the military at the time. I was like in the senior part of my years in the military too. And I was like, you know what? I need to work on this thing. I didn't feel like I had time for it because I
Mm.
was working those 14-hour days and stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it. And I think there's a study that says like the average American watch about 30 to 70 hours of TV a week. And then
Wow.
time I was watching a lot of movie, like right. I'm like, you know what? A lot of time we're spending watching. Like I'm gonna use this stuff. So I stopped watching TV. I stopped watching sports, news, so forth and so on. I stopped doing all those things. And I
Right.
just focus on audiobooks and reading books. And
Right.
that's everything I do. I stop when I'm not working. That's what I focus on.
Right.
And after a while, it becomes a habit. And
Yeah.
once it becomes a habit, I'm get addicted. I'm like, oh man, I can't stop reading this the books. I swear to God, because
Yeah.
most of my time in the military for the last decade of my service in the military, I average about 3 to 4 hours of sleep.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, and it affected me a certain way because that's
Yeah.
another story for another day. But it messed with my memory too because
Mm.
I wasn't sleeping so much because of different nightmares and so forth and so on. I was like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
then that started affecting me. But I was just use that time just for reading and listening to books and doing other studies and working on other things. And after that, it started paying off later on because now I have different skill set. Now I'm writing, now I'm reading, now I'm doing all different things. Now I'm public speaking, now I'm doing all these things. So it all plays out in the end. But it
Right.
was a lot of sacrifice.
Right. Yeah, and that's so amazing. The idea of opening yourself up to something completely different like that, like the reading and the writing, and now to know where you are now is commendable. And I seriously, because I think a lot of people want to know how to like break free of the status quo. Like you go to
Mhm,
work, you sit around and you watch TV, you might eat some dinner and then bed. And it's like this constant like, hamster wheel situation, and that's just their life. And so to like to define that idea of liberating yourself in that way, it's unbelievable. It's amazing because like I said, it sometimes most well not sometimes, a lot of people just don't know that they can do that. I just kind of
mm,
feel like, okay, this is life. Like I'm just following what everyone else does, but to really take your own path, that
mhm.
that is beautiful. So I'm just commending you on that. It's amazing.
Well, thank you so much, and for my black and brown folks out there that are listening, hey, listen, we we gotta get into reading,
Yes.
lot of reading. We gotta either read audiobooks or your regular books, whatever. You gotta get into it because I'm telling you, like, just imagine if you were sitting in the village, right? And the folks that are have a lot of experience sit around you and give you all the tools and tips and so forth and so on. You would make it really far. But
Yeah.
in this age, we don't have that, right? We gotta go hunt for that information ourselves. You gotta find people that are really, really like making a difference. What their recipes, and you can go after that.
Right. So this is another thing I want to say. Beyond your coaching, your military status, you also offer different products as well. Like you have a whole site. I was looking at it, and I navigated. I mean, I gravitated, I should say, to the supplements because I was like, what? But even beyond that, you were like, "No, slow your roll, sis. I'm beyond the supplements. I have so many other things." So like, share with everybody. Like you were just a powerhouse. Like, so
Mm.
beyond supplements, what else are you offering people out here?
No, okay. Well, let's tap on the supplement piece because it was So here's the thing, because when I was doing my life coaching stuff, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out like what else can I offer people other than my life coaching, right? Because you
Mhm.
meet people, and this is what people, three things people gonna talk about when you meet anybody, right? They're gonna talk about what's happening right now.
Mm.
They're gonna talk about how rotten things are,
Yeah.
and they're gonna talk about what they how they wish things were. So I'm meeting people that are doing all these things. I'm like, okay, so if you want my coaching, what else can I offer you? Because right now, there's a lot. You're telling me all your problems. So what else can I offer you in the meantime while I'm sitting here? Like, what else can I offer to help you? So I figured, so I was looking for that stuff, and then I discovered this product brokerage and e-commerce business, and I
Mhm.
started that with a lot of different products that we broker, right? So whatever that person needs in their household, like whatever you need for your house, for your car, whatever it is, right? There's something
Right.
that's there for you, so you can get all that stuff to that platform. So I have that platform available as well. So when I meet people and they tell me, "Hey, you know what, maybe you might need to take this supplement because just like we discover, right? You might have your day job, but the day job is not enough to cover your stuff. So you need to find supplemental income. That's where you start your,
Right.
your, your business on the side. Just like we understand in America, right? People talk about natural food, so on and so on. Let me tell you this. I grew up in Jamaica. My dad was a farmer, right?
Wow.
Like to get organic food, really, really organic food, you gotta go to it. It doesn't come to you, right? Because if
Yeah.
you ever like eat like one of those wild apples or something like that that you might come upon, you bite that apple like, and within minutes it start changing colors
Yes.
because it's real natural, right? Natural food doesn't stay on; it spoils very fast. So
Yeah.
when people say, "Oh, this is natural food," like if it's not spoiled in the next few days, that means it's not really, really natural, right? It's not really organic.
Mhm.
So I realized that if you want organic stuff, you gotta go to where it's at. And that's what I discovered. So I'm like, okay, so now we know that food that we eat doesn't have enough nutrient. That means you're gonna supplement the food that you're eating with supplements, right?
Right.
Some people don't like, oh, I want to go all herbal. Yeah, you can, but you gotta go to that place to the food. If you're gonna get it shipped to you, it's not gonna be that original.
Right.
So when I discovered, I'm like, okay, all right. So now I know we gotta do supplements. So I'm offering that too, right? Different way to supplement different things, and that's what we offer. A lot of different stuff on the portal. A lot of different stuff.
Oh my gosh. And I will share that portal in the show notes because I was just like, Asher is out here doing all the things. Like this is beyond amazing, seriously. So I wanted to like go back to the whole your writing.
Hmm.
So you've written 3 books so far, right?
Oh, I'm working on my third one.
Working on your 3rd one. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, the third one is it's called Two Suitcases to Success.
I love that.
You know,
I do.
Yeah, because most time, as immigrants, right? Or even veterans, right? You pack up all the stuff in 2 suitcases and we take off.
Right.
We go different places. We're trying to serve people in different capacities. And as a veteran, you pack up your two duffel bag and you roll out, right? You go over there and you go take care of business, right? Same thing. But a lot of times, oftentimes, all of the stuff that we really need, we put it in 2 suitcases. And
Mm.
oftentimes it fits, right? So that's kind of like the idea around the 2 suitcases to success. You pack it up and you go change your world in your new place, you know, work your way from underneath that fresh start and you just kind of build from there. So that's kind of like behind the 2 suitcases to success. It's coming
And
soon.
so coming soon. And then so your first 2 books, um yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So the first book is called Turn Your Traumas into Treasure.
Mm.
And that one is it's kind of like I packed that one up with like all of the systems and tools and stuff that I've read a lot of books that I went through and I organized the content in there. And that one I kind of built that one on like a fictional and non-fictional. I
Right.
wrote it in those two kind of like two different genre kind of way. So I built that one around that. So actually like most of the ideas for like other books I'm gonna write is in that first book. It's crazy because I packed it up with so much stuff in there. And
Uh-huh.
then from there I'm gonna build after that. And the second book it was like a guided journal, the second publication. So I kind of put that together
Yes.
so I had people kind of work on like if you're sitting there reading, you can also start working on building certain stuff about your life, so forth and so on. And that's what the second one is called. Focus on your path. The guided journal. That's what it's called. Focus on your path. And it's under this the series name is Demi Divine, and that's the name of the series name. So I'm gonna write a bunch of different books underneath that series. That's what I'm gonna focus on. Just kind of package them underneath that series name, and build from there. So that's the journey.
That is amazing. Like,
Mm.
seriously. And, you know, the idea of, like, writing a book, I've always thought about it, but it's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't
A lot of
know
work.
if" it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work, and it's like
Mhm,
organizing all the things. That's I think that's where it is for me. It's just like, okay, I know the thoughts are in my head, let's be serious, but,
mhm.
like, putting them in order. So, I'm always fascinated when I talk to people who've written books because 'cause I'm just like, "Wow, that's amazing." It's
So I'll
amazing.
tell you a story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story when I was writing the first book. Oh, it took me a whole year to write that book because it was very challenging. And
Yeah.
I got the ADD brain and the dyslexia combined. That those are like, just
Right.
those hit hard, right? But
Mhm.
I was under the that was my thinking at first is that I gotta do all of the work on the book. I didn't really think about like the editor, their contribution to it. So when I discovered editors, that's when books really got easier for me.
Mm.
Because you find your development as an editor to help you kind of get restructure, organize and stuff. Because they are some people got better brain of organizing things than
Right.
I'm like me. I got ideas like a lot of ideas, but then
Right.
to organize them, I need help, right? So the developmental editor help me organize my ideas. Then you can go to your copy editor, your line editor, so forth and so on. They can help you make sure that all your grammar stuff is straight before you publish. So once
Right.
I discovered the contribution of editors, I was like, oh my god, I was killing myself. So I have
Right.
ideas, but now, hey, let me start writing those things down. Let me find somebody to help me organize them. And
Mm.
once you start organizing them, then from there you can go back and start putting more stuff in there because it's
Right.
organized. You're like, oh, I need to change here, I need to change there, and that kind of make a difference. Excuse me, I was kind of burping a little bit,
You're
but yeah,
fine.
but
Listen.
yeah, but once once I discovered those stuff, it was latching because I would listen to John C. Maxwell, if you know him. This
Mhm.
older guy he wrote a lot of books too. But I discovered him and he was talking about how he kind of like when he doesn't get writer's block because he like takes so many notes and stuff like that. And he
Mhm.
kind of create these folders where he kind of capture his notes in there when he read books and listen to other people, so forth and so on. And then excuse the background noise.
Oh,
And
listen,
and
you're
then after I discovered what he's doing, I was like, oh, let me start doing that. And then I was listen to Dan Sullivan, the guy I gave you the quote from earlier.
right.
He was saying that how he worked on his stuff is that he read a lot of Shakespeare stuff and he rewrites Shakespeare stuff.
Mm.
Like just write it up with his hands. And he
Right.
said by practicing that, he kind of organized his brain to really write like Shakespeare because he was saying that Shakespeare write with just 1 or 2 syllables, so it makes him a really awesome writer, making very simple stuff, whatever. But he
Right.
start doing that, and that kind of helped him start writing the way he needs to write. And once he start doing that, then he start writing his own writing, put his own ideas out, and because his brain was practicing doing Shakespeare stuff,
Mhm.
now it becomes a lot easier. I'm like, interesting. So I start finding authors I like. I'm writing their
Right.
stuff out, like taking notes on their ideas, right? And before I know it, I got Google documents like from ages with a bunch of ideas, right? Because I'm reading a lot of
Right.
books and listening to a lot of books. So now that makes it a lot easier for me to like plug in ideas, use my own ideas, find other people's ideas, reframe them differently, think through them differently, And the thing about when I'm reading books and a lot of books is like I'm taking notes about what their idea triggers in me. So I'm
Mm,
listening to you talk about something like, you just hit me with the idea and it created these thoughts. I write down my own thoughts. Or
right.
sometimes I take notes of their thoughts too, but oftentimes it's what they're triggering me. That I'm like, I'm thinking about it differently. So I start writing my own thoughts. And that kind of helps with really collecting ideas. And then when you start writing, you got stuff to pull from. It makes it a little more easier.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Cause I was literally sitting here with my like jaw dropped. I was like, "Ah, yes, an editor, Alicia. Hello. Like,
Yes.
what? What? Like, think this through here. Like, what are you doing here? Yes, because and now that it makes so much more sense because I'm just like, wow, people are like organized out here like nobody's business, just out here writing books. Like, what the hell? Like, this is thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Cause I mean, that might have helped someone too. That's like, I want to write a book, but I don't even know what the heck like I have so many
Hmm.
thoughts and so many ideas, but how do I put it together? Thank you. Like,
Hmm.
I know that sounds so probably like like basic to you, but for me, it's like, yes, that is what it is. That's what it requires. You're just not doing this by yourself. There are other people that are involved. So thank you for pointing that out.
Oh no! Listen. I was under the same kind of thinking too. I was like I said, the
Right.
problem is not the problem. But you're thinking about the problem that makes the problem. I was thinking
Yes.
about it very hard, very difficult. I'm like, oh, it's just me,
Right.
just me, just me. Like, no, when I
Yeah.
discover other people, because a lot of editors are not book writers, right?
Mm.
They know about these ideas, but they're good at structuring things. And
Yeah.
the people with a lot of ideas, oftentimes, are not good at structuring things. That's the thing, right? People with a lot of ideas, they're not good organizers.
I'm like raising my hand
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So that's why it takes a team. It takes a team
yeah.
because now you have a lot of ideas, and somebody like, oh, actually, you should put this one first, put this one second, and put this one third, right?
Mm.
And they can help you organize it because the thing is, if you organize for people to follow, then they will read it, they will listen to it.
Yeah.
But if it's not, then it's like, oh, I'm still confused because this was my problem. Like I always see solution in any situation. Like
Mm.
oftentimes, because with an ADD brain, my brain processing cycle is way faster than other people.
Yeah.
Like I process things very fast. Like I see
Mm.
solution very quick. I get to things very quick. I just can't explain it the way I got to it,
Yes.
right? And so when I meet other people, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm seeing it at, right? This is how because like I tell you, I'm a web person, right? I look at it
Yeah.
like a web. I
Yeah.
connect the dots, but to do it linearly, like, where other people can follow it, it's not my brain. But a
Right.
person that really good at structure, we're like, oh, I actually put this one first. This is number two. This is number three. Right? In my brain, it doesn't arrange that same way. It's like one over there, right? I can see the whole picture.
Right.
But for somebody to follow it, they need a linear structure. My
Right.
brain is not good for that. So other people with other ideas, brain is not good for that either.
Mhm.
So you can find somebody that can see all your ideas and like, oh, actually the one you have for number five, it should be number one. If you
Yes.
start there, people can follow it. I'm like, I couldn't see it because I don't think linearly.
Right.
So now your personal ideas, find somebody to help you structure it. Once you can structure it, they're like, now it start making sense for
Right.
other people. To you, it makes sense. To them, they don't.
Right.
So yeah.
No, I love that because as you were saying that, like I've never been diagnosed with like ADHD or ADD, but I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure I have it because as you were saying all that, and just other things beyond, just like things that have like happened in like in my everyday life. That is
Hmm.
me. Like all those things. Like my mind, like I have thoughts constantly, and I can just figure stuff out so fast. People are like, "How are you doing all this?" I was like, "I don't know." Like it's
Hmm.
just what I do, right? But like you said, it's that structure and that
Hmm.
linear process, I'm like, yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know what you're talking about with that, but I can give you all these thoughts. I can give you all the, you know, I can throw all
Yeah,
that at you, and if you can put it together, sweet. Because that's just not the way I operate, you know.
that's why we need a team. Like that's what
Yes.
like my main goal, like the 2024 and beyond, is to really build a really awesome team because what I
Mhm.
learned from the military is that the best organized team win and the best organized family thrive. Right? If you can
Yes.
organize a team and your family, you can really win.
Right.
And without them, you're not gonna the best. The other team gonna beat you. If you're trying to do it by yourself, you're gonna lose because somebody got a better organized team. They're gonna beat you, right?
This
So
is
now, how do
true.
you figure to organize your team so you can go in and start winning together? Because like I was killing it by myself, killing
Mm.
myself as well, right?
Yeah.
Until I find the right kind of people, like, hey, help me with this, help me with that, and from there, life becomes a lot easier. I'm like, oh man, I'm not like having these sleepless nights because I'm over here trying to figure this thing out on my own. Somebody's
Right.
here to help me.
No, I love that. Before we go though, because I could literally
Hmm.
talk to you all day. Seriously, like this vibe has been great. So thank you so much. But before we go,
Hmm.
the idea of or your idea of liberation. I
Mhm.
know you've done all these amazing things in your life and you continue to do amazing things, but what does that look like, your idea of liberation, and how can you be an offering of liberation beyond what you've already offered to so many wonderful people as a Black man in America?
Mm. I realize that identity is important,
Yeah.
and oftentimes we hear like I wasn't raised in America, but I've been in America for 25 years now,
Mhm.
and I realize that it's hard for our people out there, man. A lot of us, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you a little history about like in Jamaica, right? Like Jamaicans, we dominate sports that we don't do teamwork in,
Yeah.
right? We dominate that because the same spirit that caused you to be so resistful, so like so powerful, and you can fight back, whatever. It also restricts you on being a team player.
Mm.
So when I first joined the military, that was one of my biggest problem was like really, really finding the energy to really be a team player. So I worked hard at it because I was, I was very like, pushy, pushy, whatever, right? On my own thing. But then I realized that you gotta be able to do teamwork. So I started working on that piece, and that piece kind of changed for me. So same thing with a lot of our folks. They are not teamwork oriented. They want to do stuff by themselves, and we are losing because we are trying to be independent too much by ourselves. We need teamwork. We need to
Hmm.
organize, right? That means you gotta put some stuff down a little bit so you can kind of balance with the team, and from there you can build together. And if we don't do
Right.
that, we're not gonna win. Like I'm saying, the
Mm.
most organized team win. The most organized family thrives. If we're not organized, we're not gonna win. So I learned that lesson, and I'm telling you a still a short story because my dad showed me this thing in action when I was growing up. He called it a day for a day, but I call it exchange labor. So back when my dad was a farmer, and what I used to do, I saw it when I was young. I was impressed by it, right? So my dad used to have like bunch of the farmers, they have different farm, like they're planting and stuff. So on Monday they would come to my dad farm and work. So all the farmers, they all come there. If 7 of them, they come to my dad farm and they work that day, right? Called exchange labor. So he come in, he put everything he got on that day on this farm. So the next day he goes to the other person's farm. Everybody go over there. They all come around that farm and they work hard, very hard, right? Teamwork together. Put that person's stuff, dig up the land, whatever they want to do, right? Next day they go to the next person's farm all day, all week, right? That's how they do it. And the person that hosts kind of like feed the person. If you come to my farm today, I'm gonna cook the food and feed you, right? So somebody
Mm.
would there would cook the food, maybe the spouse or somebody else cook the food, and all the men work, labor, and dig down this whole side of the mountain, right?
Mm.
So I saw that teamwork, and I was like, a day for a day. I give you a day, you give me a day. I give you my best work when I come to your farm, you give me your best work when you go to your farm. So now that put those folks cause them to thrive because now everybody's stuff is growing. Because
Yeah.
if you want to beat the season, that means you got to plant all your stuff at a certain time, right? And everybody come together and do it, and it works. I saw that. So came to America, saw the same thing, right? Join the military. Some people organize, some people don't. But the people that don't, are the people that are losing. Just like us,
Mm.
right? Black folks. A lot
Right.
of us are losing because we're not organized. And I'm saying we need to
Yes.
get back to being organized, and that will
Right.
liberate us from a lot of things that are holding us down at this plantation that we can't escape from because we're not
Mm.
being organized. We're not working together. So if
Right.
we can do that and do a lot more reading and listen to books and build a new community, then we can win. So that would be liberation. Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of
Mm.
purpose, and freedom of relationship. We can get those, life will be a lot more easier.
Asher, that was everything. Like seriously, like so beautifully said. And I love the idea of the the exchange of
The
help.
exchange labor, yeah, the day for a day. That was
That is amazing. I love that. And
hmm
because I've even said just in general in life, it's like if we can just find ways to like this is my skill set and that's your skill set. Well, listen, I can offer you this. And we can just work in that way because we all have so many amazing talents. And
hmm
I think that is the way, in my opinion, that we can thrive.
100%.
Just I mean,
Yes.
just using it all us to work together. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, no, you want it. You want it. You were saying like if my unique ability combined with your unique ability, combined with somebody's unique ability, and everybody combine their own unique ability, we were really tired because now what's unique about me, I love doing anyway. I would
Yes.
give you 100% of that any day, right? So if I get
Yes.
to sit on your team and that's all I do is the thing that I'm uniquely capable of doing, then guess what? I'm happy because I'm doing that.
Yes.
And guess what? At the end of the day, we all reap the benefit of the compensation part of it, right? So that's the thing that I love about the teamwork. Like I know you're good at that, so just focus on that, buddy. Like
Mhm.
I know you're great at structuring my content. Just focus on structuring. I come up with the ideas, right? And then
Right.
you just, you know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, right? But we organize around our unique ability, and we can win. But we're
Yes.
disorganized, and everybody's trying to do everything, and we're not getting anywhere, and it's
Right.
very hard. So yeah,
Yeah. Listen, this has to be shared with as many people as possible because I think
cool.
that's where it is. It's where we let go of the fact that we can't do everything and that is okay. Focus
Yes.
on what you do best and get around people who need that service and you guys just work together and create that organized team. Asher, you are the bomb. This was amazing.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's
You
been a
are so
pleasure.
welcome. So before we go, if you can share with everyone where they can find you, websites, social media platforms, take it away.
Oh, cool. So my main website right now is called it's lifechangingwisdom.com. So www.lifechangingwisdom.com. And my book comes staged them on the website called demidivine.com.
Mhm.
And for Instagram, I'm building my Instagram page right now. So it's Asher ASHER dot RA.STA. They can find me on Instagram. And I'm on Facebook. Asher Wright. You can find me on Facebook.
And
So
I
that's
will share. Also, go ahead. Sorry.
no, that's where that's my main spot right now. So
Okay, sweet. And I'll share all this information in the show notes just in case, you're like, I didn't write that down. It'll be in the show notes, y'all. Don't worry
yeah,
about it. Oh
cool,
my
cool.
gosh, Asher, thank you so much again. I hope you come back on the podcast at some
Of
point.
course.
This
Yes,
was
yes,
great.
yes. Cool. You've been awesome, by the way. So congratulations for you for taking on this role and showing our melanin folks that hey man we gotta organize because ain't nothing shine like melanin. I'm just telling you right now,
Yes,
ain't nothing shine like it, right? So let's go keep shining and just keep progressing and increasing our abilities in the world, right? Cool.
I
Thank you
love
so
it.
much.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much again. And y'all, thank y'all for listening to this week's episode of the Eat Me podcast. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.